Hello, everyone. And today's topic is treating life as a game, a video game. But wanting is a game, but maybe not everyone is inclined to feel pulled towards a game. But for those who have maybe other areas of interest, treat life as a sport or treat life as entertainment or treat life as a good story, as a book, and get into a different mindset. Now, reframe the way we deal with life and reframe the way we deal with what we call challenges. And we'll use the whiteboard just for a few minutes to explain or to visualize what we are meaning by that. So normally, we kind of look at life in a very linear way. No? So we think of ourselves as, this is me, and I'm at this specific place in life, and I want to reach here. And we plan or we think that life is like this, little bit uphill. We plan it like that, and then we will reach a certain destination. But the reality for most of us, if not all of us, is a bit different than this. The reality generally is something like this. We start out here and it goes uphill, but then it comes down. And then it goes up again and it comes down again. And it goes up and it comes a little bit down. And it goes a bit upward, then it plateaus, and then maybe fall, and then we go and rise. And then here we find the destination. Now, and in the downhill, there are different obstacles, and there may be all kinds of situations with relationships, interactions, finances, job, all kinds of things. And there may be even a thunderstorm also. But at the end of the journey itself, we could reach the destination. And so to reframe in our mind the way we look at life, not to think of it as a linear, maybe slightly uphill journey and plan it to be in our mind like that. It is not like that. The reality of our life situations is more something like the second thing. Now, having said that, when there are situations ahead of us, situations in front of us, we can think of them as obstacles or bad luck. And this makes us feel like a victim. But if, for example, if you look at children, if you want them to learn something, for example, or if you want them to do something, if you tell them, do it like this, or it will be like this, or sit here and listen to me, they won't. But when you make it into a game, they will put their best efforts in. I remember when I was young, like maybe 4 or 5 years old, I didn't like to eat. For some reason, whatever the reason was, eating was like a big chore and a hassle. But I remember my grandfather, he used to come and sit next to me, take the plate, take the spoon, And he would make a game out of the food. He would say these are like mountains, and this is like ocean, and this is like a city. And then he would take a little bit of the mountains and a little bit of the water and put it on the spoon, and like an airplane, and then it will go in the mouth. And I used to have so much fun playing with him, playing with this, and I used to eat everything, no problem. But when it was not like that, it was like a chore, and it was, I did not like it. And he was so creative in making it like these are little monsters and these are the good guys. And he used to make the whole plate into a game board. And the spoon was like an aeroplane, or sometimes it was skis, or sometimes it was a car. He was very creative with it. And it became a game. And I enjoyed, even though it was the same spinach, it was the same broccoli or whatever it was that I did not like to eat. But because it was made in a game form, it became like a entertainment. But somewhere along the line, as we grow up, we kind of lose this spirit of game, and we lose this spirit of creativity. And then we begin to see everything as an obstacle, as a chore, as hard work. Now, there is a saying, if you love your work, you will never work a day in your whole life because you're doing what you love. And this is a very useful attitude to come into again. And in games, in stories, in films, there are all kinds of situations. There is drama, there is melodrama, there is horror, there is action, there is comedy, there is romance. There are all kinds of situations. Now, if in this big life, we begin to see this whole thing as a video game. You just have to play the video game right, know the rules, find out the rules, and build up your skills. And don't see obstacles as obstacles. These are chances to learn, chances to get your skills out more. Now, in this model, we would like to add the spiritual understandings. So what is the spiritual model in this? Now we have used this image to indicate how we normally simplified look at life, or how the reality often is. If we add the spiritual dimension, it becomes even more interesting and more freeing also. Because in the spiritual model, of course, there is the body, the human being, the physical personality, and there is the journey. And the journey goes with its ups and downs and its plateaus. And maybe some of us don't ever reach here, even maybe, or we give up halfway. Fine. This is the journey. But the spiritual dimension added to this, if that becomes our perspective, is we are spiritual beings of consciousness. And we use this image of light to indicate the soul, the invisible experiencer. And this becomes like the toy or the tool with which we play. And this whole journey is the game. So the soul is the real self, the being, the invisible experiencer, or the invisible player. Invisible player. And the body and the physical personality, the part, is the toy with which we play the game. And the player comes from another dimension, the spiritual dimension. the dimension of silence, the dimension of stillness, the dimension of light. We call it the home of souls. And from this home, the being of light comes into the physical world to play the part. And at some stage, we leave it again. And so to grasp that bigger picture, see life as a game and play the game with your spiritual tools. The benefit of having this spiritual model, using this spiritual model in our day-to-day life is when the sense of self is so transcending matter, transcending the body and transcending the limitations of the body. Then even if the game is lost, it doesn't really matter. Because the soul will just go home and be forever the peaceful, blissful, timeless, divine, living being of light. And we play the game and we either win or we may not win, or we may lose or others win together, whatever. But when the game finishes, we remain what we eternally were already. A soul, a spiritual being, invisible, timeless, immortal being, an imperishable being, who has a higher nature, a divine nature. And that home of souls is also imperishable. So when we are approaching life from this spiritual awareness, one is secure. And in that sense, with that state of being secure, one comes and play the games. And then there's ups and downs, and there is roller coaster ride and all kinds of things. It becomes an extra experience. A game. Just like a video game. You play a video game or sports, or you read a good book, or you watch a nice movie. One is involved but free, involved but detached. Now, in meditation, the practice of meditation has the aim to reinforce this perspective and this vision of life as a game, but also this involved, detached attitude towards the body and the physical personality. To really come back to the self as this spiritual being, tiny star, a living life. So let's have a few minutes of meditation practice, and I would encourage you, play with this gamification of life, this understanding that we are actually playful beings. We love stories, we love entertainment, we are made for this. It is part of our natural nature. But we've narrowed our view and we have forgotten the bigger perspective and the spiritual perspective. So if we come back into that, reinforce that spiritual identity, change our attitude towards life, then situation and challenges, they are not making us into a victim. They are not obstacles. They are part of the game. And okay, we play to win, but ultimately we will just go home. And whether we win or lose doesn't really matter. We are what we always were. Timeless, peaceful, living lives. Souls. So let us take a few moments of meditation to reinforce this spiritual identity and this understanding of life as a video game. We become aware of this body and the surroundings and the sound and the movement that may be there. And we create this conscious thought that for these few moments we accept everything as it is. And think as if a step back, as if withdraw your attention from all this physical things and situations, and as if see things from as if up above. Observe. The real self is this invisible player, the observer of even this body and of the whole story, the drama of life. Silent, invisible presence who is an observer. The soul. And we use this image of light, tiny star, to as if indicate the soul. And try and grasp that understanding. Fill your mind with this image of tiny star, living, conscious, invisible, spiritual being who transcends the limitations of men. This being is a player, and the body and the bodily personality is the toy with which to play the game. Just the word game and toy already changes feelings, changes attitude, puts us on top of it instead of feeling bogged down or overwhelmed by things. Let's be masters of the game. We can be. We are innately divine beings, imperishable beings. We've forgotten the game and we've forgotten how to play the game. Let's come back to essence and use the skills that are innately within each of us to play the game of life. Thank you and have a good day.